What's up, traders? Andrew O'Connell here with Pristine Capital. Welcome to your market recap video. It is September 9th of 2022. What an epic day, team. We ended up closing out a bunch of our call options and a bunch of our positions today into this perma-bear capitulation. Let's dive right in. S&P 500, it finished up 1.55% on the session. Our NASDAQ QQQ finished up over 2%. IWM also just a smidge over 2%. Our dogs of the Dow were up 1.27%. Our ARK Innovation ETF, which we were long the double leveraged TARK, was up 4.45%. That was our big winner. Pretty much all of these indices closed towards the upper end of their day's range. We did have a volatility contraction, but not really a huge contraction given some of these big index moves. We did have positive breadth across the board, 81% advancers in the small caps, and we did have an overwhelming 91.7% up volume. The trend model does remain at a +1 reading. Today's data, we had a flurry of Fed speakers. We had one at 10, one and two at 12 p.m. And these Fed speakers at this point, they're just kind of reiterating the same stuff over and over again. It's like, what are they even doing? They just keep saying we're going to fight inflation, whatever. And there's nothing really more to say on that. Remember this from Sentimen Trader? Remember this was 2 days ago, and remember all the punters on FinTwit said that it meant nothing? Oh my gosh, say no more. Finviz Heat Map, we had a nice green day across the board. Apple, which was kind of just like in the doldrums for a couple of weeks there, finally woke up and advanced 1.88%. We also had a very nice advance in Tesla, and the energy stocks also caught some nice bids. Sectors. The one really odd thing today was that the solar group, which has been like the strongest group pretty much all year, right? Well, it has been the strongest group all year. That group was just a big time laggard, and there was some profit taking in those names. The blockchain assets were incredibly strong, up 4.69%. We took a target in our Hut 8 mining position that we added 2 sessions ago. What else was very strong? The global autos ETF, which was primarily driven by Tesla, I'm sure. And yeah, the ARK Innovation ETF as well, and a lot of the more like very risk-on groups within the market. Style factors. We had our high beta up 2.16%. International momentum was up 2.37%. International value is up pretty big as well. And the more defensive areas of the market, this defensives style factor ETF was only up 0.85%. That was our big laggard for the session. Now, in terms of the headline indices, before we jump into trades for the session, let's jump right over here. And oh my gosh, this is going to be amazing. I cannot wait. We're going to have a nice little happy hour. Check this out. So ES, I actually drew in this trend line. We had been playing, getting pretty aggressively long on these bottoming candles over here. And we just had a really nice 3-day run. This has been pretty fantastic. We are technically on day 17 of the sell-off now, and we've been tracking that day count. It's almost like counting cards, doing a day count of sell-offs. And at this point, though, look at where we are. It does seem pretty likely that we could test this 20-day simple moving average next week, this bottom of value as well, but, we only have, that would basically be like a 1% move, if that. So we've got, 1% of upside until we get to that key pivot level. And now we've got like a couple percentage points of downside. So I did end up taking off a lot of exposure today. Came into the session 99% long. And by the end of the day, I was in, 62% cash, only 32% long. And really, the goal was just, this has been a crazy week. Let's just get this risk off. Let's put some money in the pocket, and we'll reassess next week. Every single weekend, we put together a top-down market analysis, which is our weekend market analysis video for all Pristine Capital members. We also put together our weekend watch list video. And that for me, it's a labor of love. I really love just digging into the market over the weekend. And I find like when the market's closed and I just get to, do that work, it's much easier to see things than on like a Friday when the market's moving super quick. So I tried to, just reload. That way I have a lot of ammo for next week. Also noteworthy, take a look, we did break out of this weekly value area. And you can see very nice move to the upside. Again, we're coming into that trend line. What else did we have here? Our dollar index did trade down on the session, and we also took a target on our dollar index short that we put on, quite literally at the top of the dollar. Pretty crazy stuff. Don't always get such a good trade location, but this one was, pretty good. So we took off 2/3 of that position in the dollar index. Potentially found support at this 20-day simple moving average. One oddity is that the treasuries, they're just not really catching a bid. And we did end up getting long the TLT ETF via some call options. This was down 0.16% despite the really nice rally in equities. It's kind of interesting that these markets weren't really jiving with each other, the fixed income and the equities. And then crude oil, we did have a pretty big rally here as well. But in the grand scheme, we could draw a downward trend line, and we're still within the context of this downtrend. So it is kind of tough to get too excited about crude oil here. All right, let's take a look. We're going to jump over to trades for the day and take a look. So today was just a lot of selling. So what did we do? We took off, and heading into today, like every day, I try to have a very detailed plan as to what I'm going to be doing during that session. I remember I was like in the shower this morning, and I was like, all right, today's the day. We offload a lot of this risk. We closed out 1/3 of the TARK, which is the double leveraged ARK Innovation ETF. For 1917, we had paid 1609. That was maybe like a 20% winner in a couple days. So I just wanted to book that. That's a pretty good winner for me. And we closed out the remaining 2/3 of that position for $19.42. So yeah, for that, it's just like, if I can get an over 20% winner in just a few short trading sessions, that is really good for me. So I just have to book that. That's going to improve my stats. I closed out half of the Hut 8 Mining common shares for 227, had paid 183. Again, that was like a 25% return. Yeah, you can see plus 24% in 2 days. I can't not take a piece off because, yeah, you want to be selling into strength. That way you can be buying into weakness, especially when you're in a bear market. When you're in a nice trending bull market, you can just be like adding into strength, just continuing to pile on. But so far, I would say this year, it's worked very well to, buy low and sell high. Who'd have thunk it, right? PRVA, this name was just showing a little bit of relative weakness, and I just had no tolerance for it today. I'm like, I want to just get some risk off the books. So I closed this one out for $40.88. We had paid $39.59. And then in terms of options, just so many trades. Closed out, I had SPY October 21st, 397 calls. Closed those out for a little base hit winner. Closed out the QQQ October 21st calls. Again, little base hit winner. That one I'll pretty much call a scratch. Took a target on the dollar short. Made decent on that one. I had some short puts in Hut 8 Mining. Took those off for almost a 50%. 50% of the maximum profit. And then, closed out more SPY calls. CSIQ was the one trade that I closed out for a loss today. Closed these out for $8. I had paid $8.74. I just wrote here, something doesn't seem right with this stock. Day 2 that it hasn't rallied with the market. Business expense. So yeah, especially this is a key component. When you're having a nice green day in your portfolio, that is the perfect time to get rid of laggards. Because if you get rid of that laggard, does your account balance change? No, the account balance stays the same. So that is really like the most painless time to just be like, all right, this could be a problem for me in the future. I'm going to nip it in the bud. So CSIQ, maybe we'll revisit it, but for now just didn't make the cut. Then I ended up scalping some SPY put options as the market got kind of overextended intraday. Took those off for a nice little base hit winner. Made some lunch money on that. I wrote here, beats working at McDonald's. Sometimes it does. I mean, sometimes you just play for a little scalp on an extreme. It's not like you're making big money or anything, but either you lose small or you win small. It's not too shabby. And then over here, closed out more of those SPY puts, blah blah blah. What else did we do? Then I reloaded on those SPY puts at like 2 p.m. and I got the October 21st 406 puts for 11.51. And I held those through the weekend. Those are marking at like a very, very small winner. Really the one big trade that I put on for today was TLT. I got the November 18th 109 calls for 370. And I just wrote here 10-year treasuries. They've been brutalized over the last month. Next week's CPI report could be what reverses the trend. I do think there's a nice risk reward in getting long these long-term treasuries at these levels. If these long-term treasury yields, if they go higher and the bond prices move even lower, that's going to be a huge problem. Basically, like if this TLT trade does not work for me, stocks just in general, they're not going to work. So like it's going to be a really bad situation in the market if this TLT trade does not come through. And that was about it. And yeah, I will say, for this sequence, I ended up closing out, today ended up being a really good day for us in the trading account. But I will say, some of these exposures that I put on, like when we shorted the market in mid-August, that was like as close to perfection as it gets. Where we shorted the market in size, boom, the market just fell apart. It was literally like the next day or two. And it was like, can't ask for anything better. With this sequence, I did get a little bit head faked at one point. I was being very patient. I was waiting for the market to come down to my level. The market started advancing a little bit. I got a little bit impatient. I started accumulating some of those call options. I would say 1 or 2 sessions too early. And what I've come to realize is like that makes a huge difference. Sometimes waiting 1 extra day can make a world of difference. For example, with my SPY September call options, those only have a week left until they expire. I had been eating theta decay on those for maybe like a week or two because the tenor I bought was too short term and my timing was not good enough. So I ended up taking that trade off for a nice winner. I would say, I would call it like a double, and my size was very big, so it ended up working out. But I get excited at the fact that like I'm going to go into my trading journal this weekend and just kind of look over how I traded that sequence. And if I had traded that a little bit better, this could have been like, from a great trading day, this could have been like, oh my God, that was the best trading day of my career. So really those adjustments, like they matter so much. In our trading group, like we want to always just be focused on getting better. And, stock picks are great and like, what's the market going to do and which way is it going to go? That stuff is important, developing that feel. But what's really, really important is just mastering your technique of like, how do I size into positions? What are my optimal buy points on the chart? Like, things of that nature. That is like very, very important. How do I manage my risk? Like those are the key components of trading. Not really like which way is the market going to go. So yeah, definitely I'm super pumped to actually dig into that and just try to get a little bit better this weekend. But yeah, heading into next week, I would say like the risk reward to both the upside and the downside is now no longer as good. Over the last couple of days, it was like chomping at the bit, like, oh my gosh, this is a great opportunity to get long. Now, I would say like trend model's still positive. My bias is still probably to the upside. But look at this, for example. Remember, pullbacks to the 5-day EMA, they happen all the time, right? If we were to get a pullback to the 5-day EMA from where we closed, that's a move, almost like a full percentage point move down. I know there's going to be punters that bought the market literally on the ding-dong highs. And if the market were to pull back a percent, they'd probably be freaking out. So I would much rather be in a position where like, let's say we retest the 50-day simple moving average next week, or we retest that 5-day EMA. I want to be in a position where I can look and see like which stocks are doing really well when this is happening. Can I get aggressive rather than be in a spot where it's like, oh man, now I got to stop out of everything I bought. So yeah, it's very important to just like pace yourself. It's very, very important. Even on a day like today, the natural inclination is like, oh my gosh, what am I buying? Like the market's moving so fast. Don't let it fool you. Don't let the social media fool you either. Like, just always take your time. That is so, so important. With that being said, that about does it for today's market recap video. If you would like to receive our weekend market analysis video, you want to receive the weekend watch list video, visit us at pristinecapital.net. You can go ahead and get signed up. Have a good night, everyone. See you soon.